Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim. Gugabe, we decided to do a podcast about 5 minutes ago on Twitter because you tweeted out Vidal Nation. Does that mean you're throwing the mortgage on Vidal this weekend?
I was just looking for the most absurd pick on the card, honestly. I actually think the Vidal might actually have a shot, but yeah, what else can you go with? We did love Tamira's Vidal.
All right.
And you were first posting random secret pics of yours, as always.
Oh, yeah. Well, now we'll talk about it. Hold on. Okay. So we're going to talk about Topuria Holloway. I think what we're going to do is we'll just talk Pereira Hernandez card, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about the first couple fights on Topuria Holloway, because that card's next week. I'll do a full pod for that. So I've been so busy with work, and I just got done with my deadlines on the 15th, and so now I am basically off for 2 months. I'm still working, but I was logging 70 client hours a week for the last 8 weeks, and now I'm going to be logging 4 a week. So I'll be back to doing MMA content on this YouTube channel for the next few months. So I'm glad to get done with that. But all right, let's just how have you been doing from a betting perspective?
Yeah, pretty good. Kicking along. What was it? What even was last week's card? So it was all just meshed into one big.
I think it was Tyrus Royval.
That wasn't bad. I think I was in Royval. That was a decent outcome. Royval finish would have been nice, but he unfortunately had to fuck it around through. Again, Tyra. It surprised me how quickly Tyra just switched off there. He was kind of okay. Started, he was definitely slowing in the third, but it felt like there was a 1 minute between him just being he's low pace fight. He doesn't like doing much at his own pace, but it was he was a bit slower than Royval, and he just 2 minutes later he's just looking like he's fucking dead. Yeah, obviously he scrambled out. What else happened on that card?
I was on Clayton Carpenter. I got on him a little early, but mostly got on him kind of around minus 200 after that. I was just on the feet, I thought it was 50-50, but the grappling was a massive advantage. And Carpenter's also very tough, which I kind of like. Yeah. But I think he's a pretty good fighter. I think the other guy just gave up his back too much. I thought he was going to sub him too. Yeah. So I've been hot. The only one I've lost. My last 2 bets I missed were Topuria, and then I went on a 25 bet run, and then I missed on Holland, and then I got back on track with Carpenter. I missed on Holland Delete, but yeah, it's been hot, so hopefully we keep it going. But
that's good.
All right, we'll talk about it. Fluffy Hernandez, Michelle Pereira. What are your opinions on this one? Fun main event.
I think it's a fun fight. I've generally been a big Hernandez guy, but I feel like Pereira's probably one of the harder guys for him to just, he's a big body hitter, he's explosive. I feel like his grappling defense / cardio, again, it's definitely not something that he doesn't want to grapple with Hernandez for extended periods, but I feel like he's better than an Edmund or a Kopylov kind of thing. Hernandez has kind of had some of the most generous possible matchups for his style once he gets rolling. He's just finding people who melt. I think the line's fine. I took a little bit of under 2.5 very early in the week because I was just fairly binary fight. I think it should be a fun fight. Hernandez is live, obvious entry, but I think Pereira is live to kill him.
Yeah, I lean more so Hernandez here. He could die early, but I think Pereira's 94% takedown defense is kind of fraudulent. He's faced 15 takedown attempts, and they're coming from Ponzinibbio, all these guys, and the double leg he let up against Ponzinibbio, and then I went on the regionals and saw him give up some stuff too. And if you just chain it together, and he's terrible off his back. At some point he's gonna. Nico Price had him tired late, at some point he's going to get tired in this fight unless if he finds an early finish. So I think everyone knows he needs the early finish to win, or else, if this goes to the third round and extends, I think everyone agrees Fluffy will probably win the fight. And so I think you just got to look at how likely is he to finish him early. And everyone thinks it's kind of reminding me of Merab O'Malley stuff where everyone thought if they just struck for a minute, 10 seconds, Merab was going to get knocked out, And it could have happened, and I feel like it could happen here. But Hernandez has only been knocked out. Like he got hurt to the body like once, but other than that, like it's not like he's like an undurable fighter. You know, like I wouldn't say like I don't know. Like I think he seems like pretty tough. And then Michel Pereira, it's like he's got an RI guillotine choke, but he's not knocking dudes out. Like he didn't even knock out like he really isn't knocking many people out. He knocked out Petrosky and like could he do it? Sure. But I don't know. I think Fluffy will probably just survive the first 5 minutes, push a pace, and then just melt him. And I generally like that outcome. I also think like Pereira has not faced something like this before. You know, like if you look down, what wrestler has he faced? He just happened to knock out Petrosky really early. You know, so like I'm not bulletproof confident on Fluffy. Like I do agree Pereira will be at an advantage early, but like one takedown is maybe all he needs to just like win. To like if he takes him down, I think just like he's either gonna beat him up or just tire him out. Like I'm not even saying he's gonna finish him, but one takedown will probably mitigate all the danger. And it's not like it wouldn't be insane for him to get him down right away, you know? So yeah, like I lean Fluffy here a little bit. But Rob Font, Kyler Phillips, like Rob Font's a historically good fighter, so you don't want to be playing like, you know, it's hard to advocate playing minus 450 on Phillips, but at the same time, Font has looked pretty bad lately, and the grappling path, like I mean, Phillips can probably do what Sandhagen did. On the feet, it would probably be a little more competitive, but if Font shows up just like looking at it like any old form of himself, he could make this interesting. But like his takedown defenses looked really bad, you know. So I think he's probably just too old and probably just gets styled on a little bit. But you can't play minus 450 Phillips. I mean, that's really all I have to say about the fight, you know.
Yeah, because like Phillips does gas. Like he's only got like 2 good rounds of them, and I think the under here is ridiculous. Like Font's under, like the streak of Font unders of the last couple of years has been Max Griffin, like legit, like unprecedented in UFC history. Yeah. Like the sheer, like there's been like one finish in his last like 10 fights, and like there have been like 20 like spots where either he or his opponent have like almost died. Like it's actually been insane. Like the Aldo fight, there was a Vera fight. It just, you know, every fight plays out the same way kind of thing. But yeah, like Kyler's super dangerous, picky round 1. Font seems undurable these days. I think Kyler could sub him. Again, I feel like if you want the over, the only way this looks like a good GTD would probably be if Phillips just camps half guard the entire time. But even then, like Phillips is pretty aggressive opposite on top. So, yeah.
My guess is like it goes the distance, but there will be like 2 knockdowns and like
it'll be ridiculous. Like Font will die like briefly in the cage, but briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how this fight goes.
Sue Mudaerji and Charles Johnson. I see some like Sue Mudaerji love, but like you just kind of like do the math of it. It's like one. Like I know Charles Johnson doesn't grapple. I honestly, but the thing is like,
I think over 15 minutes, like Johnson's not like unfine standing. Like yeah, so he's a good striker. Don't get me wrong, but.
I personally like some people are like favoring Sue standing. I think it's close. Like I respect Sue a little bit on the feet, but I would still probably pick Johnson in 15 minutes. I'm not saying confidently, but like I do think he's beaten better strikers. That like Sue hasn't really. He styled on Sukumta back in the day, but other than that, I mean Adashev okay.
Even Adashev was a close fight.
Having success. Elliott cracked him once. Like Johnson has a win over Josh Van Hadley. Like he's done pretty well on the feet. Like if it's on the feet, for 15 minutes and there's no ground factor, do I want to be on Johnson minus 230? No, but I still would pick him to win. He has like good numbers overall. But the thing is, it's just like one knockdown for Johnson could be like the fight where like that's not the case the other way. Like if Sue knocks Johnson down, it doesn't really matter, you know? And I think when you have these 50-50 striking, if you just say 50-50, which I think is reasonable, if there's like 50-50 striking fight, like someone should be minus 220 or 30 if like a knockdown for them or a takedown for them can like finish the fight or give a dominant round. Like I know Johnson isn't like a wrestling specialist or anything, but Sumaderji is like maybe pound for pound the worst grappler in the UFC.
Yeah.
He's
pick up flyweight, like at a real division.
He is like on the mat at flyweight. They're all pretty good down there. Like, like and he is like a heavyweight down there, like legitimately. Like he's that bad. So like Charles Johnson will have an advantage down there. I can't believe we got Tim Elliott minus 130. Like I know it was like, I think that might have been short notice, but I literally didn't even care. Like I was like, this is insane. Yeah. Elliott is going to murder this man. But yeah, like I'm not interested in minus 230, but like I don't want to, like, I don't agree with all the Sue action. Like, could he win a competitive striking fight? Sure. But like, you have to assume he wins the striking, which he may not. And you have to assume like no grappling comes into play. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot has to go his way. And I also just don't think he knocks Johnson out often. Johnson's tough as fuck, So, yeah. Elkins and Daniel Pineda, what do you think about this one?
Elkins looked kind of decrepit. Even the Brown fight was kind of weird, where like Brown just did Brown things. But also, yeah, like Pineda obviously has this is the sort of fight that Pineda finds a way to lose. I think it's going to be silly. I think with the Sumaderji, like again, I think the Sumaderji thing. I think the Sumaderji KO is not bad. Like Johnson almost died to the guy fought last.
I don't know if you need time to talk about that fight. Go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, so I think like KO1 KO is not bad because you get most of the upside. Like I just feel like I don't want to play money line because like any slip could just be it. Like Johnson's not a proactive grappler, but that is like historically bad at grappling.
He's so bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. Elkins and Pineda, I'm just like I think we all know roughly like we know the shape of this fight. I think live Elkins, if anything. I think at the money line price pre-fight, it's just too much of a shot in this moratorium. I just can't really be like having too strong an opinion because like Elkins has rocked up and looked awful a few times lately. Even Pineda's had like quite like inconsistent performances. Like sometimes he's been hold together into late rounds. Other times he's just looked like he has one slight adversity early when he's just done.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Pineda has 44 pro fights, and how many decisions do you think he's won?
I think it's like it's either 1 or 0.
0. That's crazy. 44 pro fights, he's never won a decision. That right there is like a reason why I kind of lean up this year. I'm not confident in Elkins, but when he was plus money, I was chirping at people. When he was like plus 130 and stuff, Elkins, I was like he should be favored here.
Yeah, it's just Elkins.
Boy, because every time I bet on him, I bet on him like 5 times, and he's won every time, and it's usually as an underdog. Like I was on him against TJ Brown. Remember against Derek Minner, he was like plus 160, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, it was just like clear he was gonna melt him. This fight, I will say, Pineda's like better. Like Elkins has been held down a little bit in some recent fights, like against TJ Brown and stuff. And Pineda's better at getting top position than I think I remembered when I started watching the tape. So like on sweeps and stuff, I do think Elkins is better wrestler and better positionally, and will win the wrestling battle. But Pineda is like, I do think he could get some top time too on the feet. This is kind of a hot take. I like Pineda could hurt him early, but as the fight goes, I think Elkins is at like a cardio standing advantage, and I think Elkins just at a cardio advantage overall, and that's why I picked him. But ultimately, the thing is, Elkins, people like think he's like a guy that just gets finished all the time, but he really doesn't. Like if you look, Charles Oliveira, and then whatever, he got subbed by him, and then it was like Lamas in round 3, and he wasn't even totally out. And then I think the only other time he's been finished was like Cub Swanson. Like he's generally a guy who survives, and Pineda just doesn't really win decisions, So I think it's like I think it's Elkins probably here, but I liked him more at plus money. I think he's going to gas pedal him, Gugabe. I think just eventually he'll just kind of outwork him,
Yeah, gun to my head, definitely Elkins. I just yeah, it's been 3 years since Swanson Elkins, and after I saw Swanson Elkins, I was like, yeah, Elkins looks decrepit, and like, he's had Connolly since then, and Connolly's probably the single like best possible Elkins matchup that ever happened. Like Tristan Connolly is just a worse version of Elkins, who is completely inoffensive. Then Pierce, shit show, and Brown, who is a danger to himself and others. Like TJ Brown has the ability to grasp defeat from the jaws of victory. It is amazing. I don't know. I definitely say Elkins are pass, but I just hard to find it hard to get to Elkins. That's what I just gut feel like.
I agree. I mean, I'm passing. So like before tape, I wanted to play Elkins, and if he was like plus 130, still I'd play him. But I wanted to play him, but after tape, I was a little less confident, I would say. But I still do think like ultimately, I just like his cardio more. Like it came down to cardio for me.
I think Pineda's had some like better than expected cardio performance. Like the Caceres, he almost beat Caceres. Like that came a lot closer than it really should have.
Even against Nathaniel Wood, he was like winning the last minute or two of the round. So like for some reason, I thought Pineda was like a Howard Burns where he just died after a round, but he wasn't.
He does sometimes.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I picked Elkins. I was like, well, there is a chance he does, and Elkins will push a crazy pace. So maybe he does. Like Elkins will attempt like 20 takedown attempts and 20 reversals and just never stop. So ultimately, like I do think if someone gasses, it's going to be Pineda, but it's not for sure he does, and that's why I kind of got a little. But I really do think like Pineda looked really bad on the feet in some fights. Like, and I feel like Elkins could just like move forward and actually have success, but Elkins just bleeds after every shot too, though. But remember Elkins' landwear? Like Elkins legitimately, if it wasn't for optics, he outstruck him the landwear, which is like Landwehr did Landwehr fight Pineda? Like Landwehr would do terrible things to Pineda on the feet.
Remember Elkins Volkanovski? That was surprisingly competitive on minutes. For Volkanovski, Elkins was actually a competitive kickboxing match. Again, it was the issue was every time like Volkanovski landed, head would come off.
That was a long time ago.
Elkins took a standing round over Volkanovski. 2 scorecards.
That was such a long time.
Round 2, he took round 2 on 2 scorecards against Volkanovski.
Man, Elkins has been fighting forever, man. I remember because he fights in Milwaukee.
Yep.
This makes me feel so old. I remember in 2011. I went up to watch it. It was when the Cardinals won the World Series. I'm a St. Louis boy, and they were playing the Brewers. And I went up there and I ran into Darren Elkins, and like he was like 4 fights into the UFC at that point, and that was like 13 years ago, and I was so young, and I knew who he was, and I was like talking to him, and now it's like 2024, and he's still. It's just so crazy, man. Yeah. He was like a 4-fight veteran in the UFC at that point. It was like 2011. He's been around forever, man. I love Elkins. I think we all kind of cheer for him,
Of course.
Yeah.
Like I want Elkins to win. Like Elkins will pass, but I also Pineda's like takedown defense and striking. Like Pineda does hit hard. Like it's something as a concern I just have. I visualize betting Elkins. I visualize him just dying instantly. I'm just like, I feel retarded.
I agree with Tristan here. Like, I do think Elkins could die here. Like I will pick him to survive in this matchup, but Pineda also like I know Elkins is good sub defense, but Pineda is dangerous down there. Like, he could get
legitimately.
He is, yeah. I think it's gonna be a fun fight. But like you gotta pick like Elkins. You just have to know when to pick your spots with him. Like I got him versus Brown as a dog. I think I got him against Connolly. I got him against Minner as a dog. I got him against Garagori too. I've generally just not played him in his losses. I think I played Lamas against him back in the day too.
Even his wins, it's like half time. There's like one moment in his wins where the referee was slightly more inclined towards stopping it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like Minner, the Minner fight could have been stopped in round 1. Like that wouldn't have been unreasonable.
Yeah,
it wasn't like an egregious non-stoppage, but like it ticked in slightly 50-50 to me. And and even Garagori, that was just how he is. How do you feel like Nicolau Almabayev? Like, I feel like Nicolau's getting a little bit disrespected here off like strength of schedule and that kind of stuff, but also just feels like a good day for Nicolau is such a slow and uneventful split decision. It's just like that's what I hate about Nicolau is like how much
he has no ceiling. That's a problem.
Exactly.
It's like I think Almabayev's the rightful favorite. Like, I don't know if he'll get wrestling going because Nicolau does have like a really good takedown rates in the 90s, but the only time he was taken down was against Tim Elliott, and it was like, other than that, Elliott didn't really get him down, and like, but he hasn't faced a ton of wrestlers either. I just felt like I didn't have enough because like Brett Appley was asking me about like what I thought about it, and I was like, I feel like I just don't have enough sample to like know. Generally, Nicolau's takedown defense actually looked pretty strong, in my opinion. But I feel like Almabayev's like a psychopath and will attempt like 15, So I don't like. I tend to think Almabayev like that will probably result in maybe in a couple takedowns. And honestly, like on the feet, even if like he gets shut down, Almabayev, it's like Nicolau doesn't pull away on the feet anyway, And Nicolau could just get out wrestled. So that's the problem with Nicolau. He like his ceiling's like a 55 significant strike decision,
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much my take.
And that's assuming he stops all the takedowns, which he could. He looks hard to hold down. But yeah.
Yeah, but like one decent control position could legit just be justified a line.
Yeah, because there's just no offense by Nicolau. Like he's technically a good fighter. Like Nicolau can grapple, he can strike. It's just he doesn't really have a good chin, and he doesn't put it up enough offense. Like it's not a fluke he beat Kopp or that he beat Kopp. Like he can fight anywhere. It's just he can lose to like guys who suck too because he just stands there,
Yeah, like even like the Schnell fight, like I think Schnell was into like evens from like minor plus 400 pre-fight at the time in the first knockdown. And obviously, Schnell is fragile, but like, I remember like a year or two ago, it was like Nicolau was minus 400 against Schnell. I'm just like, well, they're both fragile, aren't they? Like, Nicolau's probably a little bit more skilled, but come on, guys.
Yeah, he's 5-0 in decisions in the UFC, but like the Moraga fight could have went either way. The Kopp fight was really close too.
That was bad.
It was just the Elliott fight was like competitive. He got outlanded in a lot of these fights too, So I know he's 5-0, but he easily could be like 2-3 or 3-2 as well. But I'm not interested in playing Almabayev at minus 200 either, though, just because he could get like reasonably shut down, so yeah. What do you? Is there any other fight on the card you want to talk about?
There we go. I mean, Austin Lane, I think, is just a no-brainer. Like, how wrong can you be? Like, he just did the right thing against Denise. I think Denise is a harder version of Despan because, like, Denise is like has cardio, will push Denise just is like actually a good kickboxer because like Despan is kind of this, like, what the fuck has Despan even done? Like, Taekwondo isn't the real sport. Like, he's huge, but like, Denise is like, okay, well, Denise has had like major kickboxing accomplishments kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whilst,
Yeah, the only problem with Lane is like he doesn't have the cardio of Waldo. Like Waldo. We both bet Waldo in that fight, but we didn't expect him to go do what he did. But we did know if someone got takedowns, it would be Waldo. I thought Waldo just on cardio alone and just boxing could be there.
I actually agree with that. Like, I've watched that fight. Like, the Spain striking actually impressed me more than I thought against Acosta because I thought if Costa existed out in like 6 minutes, he would just win. I thought it would, the Spain would just collapse. But also, like, Acosta getting that level of grappling control, especially when he has like, if he had slightly pushed position at all, he would have finished the spot. Like, he never, he didn't have the skills to advance position at any point. Like, Lane got to mount on Denise. That fight had gone a little bit longer, he probably TKOs him. Like, and is the Spain mentally strong? Is he like the floor is so low now?
I absolutely think Lane can get him down early and I also think he could do more damage than Waldo did. The only issue is just Lane is like way less durable than Acosta, like way less. It's not even comparable. And I don't think he has the cardio of Acosta either. So that's the problem, you know? So it's just like one round and then they get stood back up on the feet and he could just get killed, you know, like at any point. And like on the feet, he's going to be in like real danger. But like Acosta wasn't in as much danger, like, you know, because like he can actually box and cardio box and defend himself. So yeah, but I'm looking. Katona Matsumoto should be pretty competitive.
Yeah, I think that should be close. Like I like Katona plus 200. Inevitably, like Matsumoto wins off like 2 knockdowns or something.
I think that's going to be like a split decision type of fight. It's currently plus 200 or plus 230 to be a split decision. That's like how, because I think to go to the card, I mean, go to the cards is minus 300 for a men's MMA fight. That's crazy. I like kind of agree with it though. They're both like very tough. Katona's like an Ige, you know, he's just like one of the more durable guys, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, Katona's just a hard debate. Like again, the market tends to get super attached in either direction for these kinds of guys, where it's just like they win 3 straight and people are like, oh, this guy's a genius. They lose 3 straight and suddenly, oh, this guy's the worst fighter. It's like Charles Johnson's a classic one.
Yeah.
Like what, 3 fights ago, Charles Johnson was considered to be a fucking horrible fighter who.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, we've gotten through most of the card. Do you want to talk a little bit about what is it, 308?
Yeah. Works for me.
So, what do you think of this Topuria Holloway line?
I mean, I think the Holloway price is a bit insulting just because, you know, he's Max Holloway, you know, top 10 fighter of all time. Yeah. I think Gagey kind of gave him the play. Again, I was very big on Holloway against Gagey, but I think Gagey gave him the optimal.
We both were, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Gagey legitimately gave him like the optimal path to beat Gagey. Like when Gagey in round 4 actually started going forward and hammering leg kicks, like Gagey actually like competed. The first 3 rounds, like Gagey was just sort of hanging back, kicking, and he was doing like late career Gagey is a. Yeah, I think he would early career Gagey, the guy who like went crazy on Poirier and stuff, would have been a lot better against Holloway, just because he would have pushed the pace and pushed the leg kicks. But also like Topuria, like I'm just not like the Josh Emmett performance incredible. Like I enjoyed that performance, like for cardio and like output reasons, because you think like you see Topuria's style and you're like, how long can he realistically do that? Like minute wise, like he's super explosive, he hits very hard. And like he goes against Josh Emmett, he kind of pushes that pace for 25 minutes, which impressed me a lot. Volkanovski fight, I don't really care that much about. Like, you know,
the Emmett fight was like more impressive than the Volkanovski fight.
Way more impressive. Yeah. In terms of like ticking boxes, like, you know, it's like, you know, with Shavkat, like Shavkat Jeff Neal to me is way more impressive than anything else Shavkat's ever done. It was probably a retarded fight. He shouldn't have done that, but like, if you prove that level of physicality, it's like, you know,
15 minutes. Yeah.
It's like, you know, like he just pulled out S+ cardio and durability. It's like, all right, now I've got to take you seriously. Whilst if you just keep subbing people inside 2 minutes, it's like, well, I don't fucking know. I don't know what your cardio is.
Yeah, if you finish Carlston Harris in like 2 minutes, I don't really care, you know?
Yeah. It's like, you know, it's worth something, but like it's not really answering like cardio, durability,
I'm not
takedown
really to crown you champion. But like whenever I see you like beat up Jeff Neal, double him up, and still have danger in the 3rd round, I'm like, okay. You know?
When I see you look at Jeff Neal and just walk him down on pure physicality, I'm like, all right, Jeff Neal probably top 5 athlete in welterweight history. And Shavkat just, like, he fought the most dumb way possible, but like being able to beat Jeff Neal like that is insane. And like I see Josh Emmett versus Topuria the same way, where it's like, I think Topuria could have fought Josh Emmett better, but beating Josh Emmett in a brick swinging fight that's an accomplishment. Like Josh Emmett is very good at swinging bricks. Like, you know, he might not have a particularly well-rounded skill set or anything like that, but if you're going to sit in front of him and swing bricks with him, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Topuria is weird to me because like his way up was like a bunch of grapplers on the way up, who he kind of mostly just liquefied instantly with physicality and being able to stuff takedowns. I was like, all right, that's not, you know, good performances, but I don't think you can take a ton off the Ryan Hall fight or anything, because like Ryan Hall is a very unique fighter, and like, yeah, lots of people would lose to Ryan Hall, and yeah, your performances against Ryan Hall have minimal bearing on your performances against the rest of the sport. Like he just kind of this whole little Christ over his own little thing. And also Holloway going back to featherweight at this age scares me a little bit. I think Holloway lied better after a round is probably the best way of doing it to get a feel for the dynamics. But I had a gut feel that I think you have to take some max, but I just gut feel that Topuria just looks way faster or hits way harder. Could be the first one to knock him out. This gut feeling. But yeah, it's hard because I just don't think we know anything about Topuria because Emmett fight was the only particularly comprehensive performance, and yeah, that was good. But apart from that, I just don't care that much about Topuria's tape.
Going to that Topuria-Volkanovski fight, I was legitimately concerned for Volkanovski. Remember, I was just like, this guy hits really hard, and Volkanovski does get hurt a lot, and Topuria clearly had a lot of power in the pocket, and I was just like, I was really 50-50 on the fight. Volkanovski did win the first round and was the favorite live, before the knockout. So just so people remember. But I was like, Topuria showed that he had danger for 25 minutes against Emmett, and I was just like, against Volkanovski, I think he has a good chance to clip him, and he ended up doing it. So I ended up being pretty 50-50 on that fight. And I think it kind of played out that way. I thought Volkanovski won the first round and he was minus 230 live.
Yeah, he was doing fine.
Yeah, he was doing fine. And I've heard people say Topuria was dominant. He wasn't. He lost the first round, and he was the books are smart. The books are smart. They had they knew Volkanovski had won the first round and he was winning the second round. And then what happened. But Topuria is very good. I was on him versus Mitchell. Remember, I was telling you before that fight how much I liked him there. I really like him as a fighter. He's a really good fighter. But the reason why I was skeptical about Volkanovski there is just because Volkanovski's durability is a question mark. But Holloway is so durable, dude. I don't know. I think Max probably will survive again. I don't think he's gonna knock Max out. Could he? Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to. And
I agree. That's really the argument. That's the money line, isn't it?
If he's not going to, it's Holloway's gonna land over 100 significant strikes, and it's all right, Topuria, if you go do that too, then take my money. That's fine.
Yeah.
But go do it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I was when Holloway was fighting Gaethje, I was like, what the fuck? Holloway should be the favorite. This is insane. And we went on an hour rant on that fight, and then we ended up cashing on this one. Am I confident on Holloway? Should he be the favorite? Will he win? No, but honestly, I don't think Topuria hasn't proven he can beat a guy like Max yet, and he might just starch him, but I don't know, if this goes 25 minutes, do you really think Topuria is going to land more strikes than Max? I don't think so.
Yeah,
his strikes could be more meaningful, so he could still win a decision and whatnot. But I don't know, man. I think the line's too wide. I still have a lot of respect for Topuria though. I really do. And he could just fuck him up. But no one in any fight ever has covered minus 250 or whatever against Max except the Volkanovski third fight. I would say that was the only time you watched the fight and Max kind of just got dominated. But other than that, no other loss Holloway's had, he looked minus 250 was covered ever. Against Poirier, Holloway honestly looked like the favorite in that fight, and they happened to hurt him 2 times at the very right moment, And then the first couple of Volkanovski fights were very competitive. I did think Volkanovski won both those fights, but they were very close. And yeah. So
and also,
I just feel it's got a Max plus 200 when he's I think he'll probably survive. Am I more afraid he could get knocked out here than in other matchups? Of course. But I do do I, gun to my head, do I think he'll survive? Yeah, I do. And and like, yeah, like, I don't know. And Holloway has sneaky little power himself. Like, he doesn't like he can sting people too. And if he's landing as many strikes as he can land here, I just think it could happen. Topuria was down on the metrics against Volkanovski, and he's had some weird little distance striking, like he's lost on the numbers in other fights too, And so I just feel like I want him to prove it to me at that price tag,
I agree. Like I think if this is the fight where Holloway finally dies, like
he
wouldn't shock me if this was the B5.
A bunch of plus money on Gaethje. It's like I'll write it one more time, and I won't feel bad. It's profitable long term,
And like again, like if I see what the under comes in at, if it wouldn't shock me if the under ends up being like evens or something. And if I can get like evens on not Topuria decisions, I've got to take it.
Yeah,
like logically.
I
also like they should.
Do you think Topuria is going to try to grapple in the fight?
Yeah, I think it's possible, but like it's just weird because his grappling is like
a bad idea. I feel like he's more likely to gas if he tries that. I think he should just try to take his head off, and like not take his head off, but I think he should just try to power box, because Max is hard to wrestle. And another thing, like the other thing I like. The other thing I think is possible, Topuria has never had a pace pushed on him, except like one time he didn't control the pace. It was against Zalal. It was short notice and a long time ago. So I'm not like saying but like in the third round, Zalal was the one controlling the pace, and Topuria did lose that round. And then like when he had that 5-round fight against Emmett wasn't controlling the pace. Topuria was. And I feel like when you're fighting at your own pace, you can like put up numbers, but if Max will probably be the one controlling the pace, and there is a chance like Topuria could tire out, like if anyone tires out here, it's not going to be Max too. So that's like another reason it makes it interesting. Like I really like Topuria though. Like like he's very good. I think he's a very good fighter, and he could crush Max, and he could knock him out, and he could just beat him up. But Max is just he's a hard style matchup for anyone, because it's like he's really hard to take down. You can't really knock him out often, and then he's going to put up 200 significant strikes almost every fight.
Yeah, pretty much. And also like Topuria doesn't throw leg kicks, which has been like the main thing that really have given Holloway issues to me.
Who does better versus Islam, Max or Topuria?
I mean, Max. I still do not have that strong an opinion on Topuria. Like, I think he's a physical freak. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's good, but I still feel like Topuria. Again, just the way he came up with Div, and then he knocks out Volkanovski like that. I still think like the floor on Topuria is surprisingly low for a guy who's like. I don't think he's bad, but it's just like the floor and the ceiling distance here is still fucking massive for a guy who's the champion at like a good div.
He's clearly a very, very good fighter. It's just I want to see him.
It's clearly a very, very good.
I want to see him not. It's like at -2 with Max Holloway plus 200. It's like okay, go. You got to either knock Max out, or you got to beat him in like basically a striking based decision. Those are two very hard things to do, and like he could, I think he could do it, but I'm just saying like it's historically very hard. Like no one's knocked him out. Only a couple of, pretty much only Volkanovski has been able to beat him by striking based decision. The only other guy to do it is Poirier, and like Max was a better fighter than Poirier in that fight. Like if you just rewatch it, like Max won most of the minutes in that fight. Poirier just like happened to sting him a couple times. And like, if you're just hoping power shows up for Topuria, sometimes that stuff doesn't show up. Like it could, but it doesn't always, and yeah, like Max has just got such a high floor and ceiling in every matchup. But I'm really excited for the fight though, because I really respect both guys, and it's an interesting style fight. But yeah, I mean, we kind of ranted it. I'll tell you offline. There's an underdog coming up that I really, really like. Like in a few cards, but like the line's early, so I'm not going to talk about it yet. But
I think there's a few decent undercards. I think Rakic is horrible for Ankalaev. Or at least not to say horrible, but I think if Ankalaev's going to lose to anybody, it's going to be Rakic. Like he bombs leg kicks, he's hard to grapple. Well, he bombs leg kicks, he's hard to grapple, and like if Ankalaev can't just grappling outwin people and is getting kicked in the leg, like Ankalaev has two like major issues, like where he doesn't do much standing, and he has massive issues leg kicks. So like, give him a huge athletic, hard to grapple leg kicker, it seems like just inherently a hard matchup.
Yeah, I remember thinking that line seemed a little wide just because like Rakic is like. Has anyone tried to wrestle Rakic? I just can't remember off memory.
I don't think proactively, but like,
Ankalaev is going to have two 50-50 striking rounds, and then in round 3, he's going to like get a takedown, dominate the entire round, and lose like a 29-28 split decision, and like everyone's going to be like, "Why didn't you start going earlier?"
I don't think anybody has grappled Rakic, but he seems like he can grapple himself and like.
Well, yeah, but just because you can wrestle offensively,
I agree, but like
you have it, especially like European guys, like you have to be like a Russian or like a D1 All-American for me to like just assume you have good defensive wrestling. Has anyone ever tried to take him down? So he was taken down.
I think Jerry did.
Did take him down?
I think like he got hurt and like he dragged him down or something.
Dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like it was like halfway through. Like it was probably more knockdown than it was takedown. It was like Jerry wobbled him into the clinch, dragged him down.
Barroso.
Clark fight was hilarious.
Yeah,
Clark Rakic is a hilarious fight. It's fucking go like Clark just hurts him instantly, and then they just go to war. It's fucking stupid.
I sort of remember him being kind of hard to take down, but I can't really. I haven't like.
He feels like he would be. Like he's super explosive.
He hasn't.
Like
I mean, look at the last guys he fought. No wonder why I don't remember. Yuri, Jan, Santos, Smith, Ozdemir, Manoa. Like none of those guys ever shoot takedowns, really. But all right, man. Well, what we will do like a 308 pod. Maybe I'll get like a guest in here too. And maybe we'll get Magic, and so he can yell at us about Topuria and Holloway. That would be pretty funny. Maybe we'll try like Gambas or like Magic next week because Magic.
I'm sure they'll have level-headed, intelligent takes on Ilya Topuria. I'm still amazed like they're shitting on me for betting like Josh Emmett at plus 400. I'm just like, how wrong can I be? Like, I still don't think I was that wrong.
Dude, on my Twitter, people still put like Topuria fine on like comments just to me. Like, and they're talking about you. That
I know, but like
that lives in. That's like an immortal quote by you.
Like Josh Emmett landed quite a few head strikes on Topuria. It's like, how many head strikes can you absorb from Josh Emmett before you're no longer minus 500? Like, Josh Emmett hits fucking hard.
Yeah. All right. Well. All right. I'm gonna roll. We'll do the pod for thread. And I have a lot more time on my hands now that I'm done with work and everything for a while. So, we'll see you next week. Thanks, Gugabe, for jumping on.
Gotcha.
See you.